I'm not going to comment on speculation on that.
But it's not speculation. It's our viewers asking the Chancellor, who knows exactly what you're going to do, what you are going to do. It's not speculation. So you're now 7 months in, and actually there are an awful lot of things that you're now saying, well, yes, we have to get on, we have to go further and faster. Were you too slow to begin with? Do you admit that?
Well, some of these things require legislation, and we're just about...
When a politician speaks as if they are merely reciting a prepared script rather than engaging in genuine discussion, it raises serious doubts about their credibility. Rachel Reeves' responses in this interview felt mechanical, as though she was struggling to recall memorized lines rather than articulating her own beliefs. She stumbled, hesitated, and repeated the same tired phrases we have all heard before, making the entire exchange feel unnatural and unconvincing. Rather than displaying confidence and clarity, her rigid delivery only served to reinforce the perception that she was uncomfortable, uncertain, and ultimately unprepared to tackle the pressing issues at hand.
It a lot. The latest month of growth was only 0.1%. So how do you think the last 6 months have gone?
Well, our economy has essentially flatlined for more than a decade now. I don't believe that low growth is our destiny, though. I know that we can do so much better than that.
Rachel Reeves attempted to present herself as composed and assured, but the cracks in her performance were glaring. Her statements lacked spontaneity and sincerity, resembling rehearsed soundbites rather than meaningful engagement with the concerns of the British public. Rather than addressing the fundamental questions posed to her, she resorted to vague, politically safe answers that did little to inspire confidence. Viewers expect their leaders to respond with conviction, yet Reeves' performance left many feeling that she was dodging rather than confronting the challenges facing the country. If this is how she handles scrutiny now, what does that say about Labour's readiness for government?
So, I ask you again, do you think the last 6 months have been a success?
When I became Chancellor of the Exchequer, I think that most people would recognise that the inheritance was pretty tough. Public finances were in an utter mess.
But this is about the impact of the decisions you took.
Yes, but those decisions were to put our public finances back on a firm footing. And the worst thing that I could have done in the budget was to have swept those problems under the carpet, pretend they didn't exist.
This interview highlighted a stark contrast between Rachel Reeves and her interviewer. Laura Kuenssberg repeatedly pressed her on significant economic concerns, yet Reeves either stumbled through her responses or defaulted to the predictable blame game. Rather than demonstrating command of the issues, she came across as defensive and hesitant, failing to reassure the audience that Labour has a concrete plan. In contrast, Kuenssberg's probing questions only served to make her look more competent and in control, leaving viewers with the uncomfortable impression that the politician in the hot seat was the one struggling to keep up.
Either we've now stabilised the public finances, which means that we can go further and faster on that bedrock of stability to grow our economy.
Well, the debt is absolutely enormous, and
but we can now move on and grow our economy.
Well, borrowing is at its highest level for 4 years. The national debt is absolutely enormous,
and that's the debt that I inherited as Chancellor. Yes, we've got to get a grip of those problems.
If Reeves assumed she could sail through this interview unchallenged, she was sorely mistaken. Her lack of thorough preparation was apparent and did nothing to reassure voters of Labour's leadership capabilities. A strong political leader should be able to confidently articulate their position and defend their policies under scrutiny. Yet Reeves faltered, often appearing to be searching for the right words rather than delivering clear, decisive answers. When a politician appears less knowledgeable and composed than the journalist questioning them, it is bound to leave a lasting impression, and not a positive one.
Did you make a mistake, or did you underestimate the number of wealthy people who might pack up from the UK because of the decisions that you make? Because you've changed your mind on the rules you were going to bring in for non-doms.
It's a basic principle for me, Laura, that people...
Reeves' reluctance to acknowledge Labour's challenges only served to reinforce the perception that the party lacks a firm grip on the country's economic realities. The public does not want carefully crafted soundbites or political platitudes. They want genuine accountability and clear, actionable solutions. This is not just about the last 6 months. It is about whether Labour has the competence and resilience to govern effectively for the next 6 years. If the party's approach is to continue sidestepping uncomfortable truths while offering only vague assurances, it is little wonder that public confidence in their leadership remains so fragile.
rates of tax.
So you
That doesn't
shifted your
cost-
position.
That doesn't cost UK taxpayers any money. This is not going to result in any dent in the public finances, but it does make it easier for people to bring money in from overseas in a way that the previous government didn't permit.
But did you get it wrong because you've changed your mind?
We're making some changes to one part of the way in which very wealthy people from abroad are taxed.
One of the defining moments of the interview came when Laura Kuensberg challenged Reeves on the increasing trend of high earners leaving the UK. It is an issue that demands serious attention, yet Reeves' response was frustratingly evasive. Rather than presenting a clear strategy to address this economic concern, she clung to broad statements about Labour's priorities without providing any tangible solutions. The reality is that businesses and successful entrepreneurs are choosing to relocate elsewhere, and yet Reeves did little to offer reassurance or suggest any meaningful intervention. For a politician attempting to build public trust, this lack of clarity was a serious misstep.
Now, of course, that's a huge amount of money for any normal person in terms of government spending. That is tiny, and you've shaken a whole sector. You've made farmers very unhappy. We had an email from Arabella Solway, a family farmer, who wrote to us last night saying everybody now has to put aside anything they earn to counter the fear of the inheritance tax bill that may hit them at an unknown time. They're not investing in farms, not buying new equipment.
Well, let me answer those
that.
questions directly. In the most recent year of tax data, 40% of the benefit of agricultural property relief went to just 7% of estates. 37 estates got more than £100 million worth of tax relief. That is not affordable and it's not fair.
When asked to provide specifics, Reeves consistently sidestepped the questions, offering ambiguous reassurances rather than concrete policies. This kind of non-committal rhetoric is precisely what frustrates voters and fuels scepticism about politicians. The British public is tired of carefully worded evasions. They want real answers, and Reeves failed to deliver them. If Labour's key figures cannot handle tough questioning in a controlled interview setting, it raises genuine concerns about their ability to make high-pressure decisions once in government. Leadership requires clarity and conviction, yet Reeves appeared to lack both.
You're now 7 months in, and actually there are an awful lot of things that you're now saying, well, yes, we have to get on, we have to go further and faster. Were you too slow to begin with? Do you admit that?
Well, some of these things require legislation, and we're just about to introduce the Planning and Infrastructure Bill.
There is a growing gap between Labour's lofty promises and the practical measures needed to deliver them. Voters are not interested in hearing that things will improve in time. They need tangible progress now. Reeves' inability to outline an immediate recovery plan only reinforced doubts about Labour's economic strategy. If this is the level of decisiveness and transparency we are seeing after just 7 months, the idea of Labour holding power until 2029 is deeply concerning for many. People want strong leadership, not indefinite delays and abstract policy discussions that fail to translate into real-world change.
I'm not going to comment on speculation on that, but we have
it's not speculation. It's our viewers asking the Chancellor, who knows exactly what you're going to do, what you are going to do. It's not speculation. So,
at its core, this interview was not just about economic policy. It was about trust. Voters expect political leaders to be direct, transparent, and capable of delivering real improvements. However, Reeves' reluctance to provide straightforward answers raises serious questions about whether Labour can meet those expectations. The public has little patience for vague statements and scripted responses, especially in the face of mounting economic uncertainty. If Labour continues down this path of ambiguity, they risk alienating voters who are desperately seeking a government that will offer clear direction and decisive action, rather than more of the same political deflections.